Hello, I'm Icy, and welcome back to my new book collection. They're gonna fall. Wait until the book falls. So today, I am going to read Little Miss Scary by Roger Hargreaves. Little Miss Scary lived near the top of a mountain in a house called Spooky Cottage. When it was dark, she would creep into the valley below, making sure that nobody saw her. And then she would wait very quietly until somebody came along. And when that somebody did, she would tiptoe up behind them, open her mouth wide, and shout, "Boo!" And you know why Little Miss Scary did this? For fun. You see, she loved to scare people and anything else in the world. And she's very good at it. She even scared them stiff. Boo. And she scared them out of their wits. Boo. And she even scared them right out of their socks. Boo. Oh, man. About a week ago, Mr. Noisy went to see his friend, Mr. Jelly. Mr. Noisy was worried because he hadn't heard him from his friend for ages. When he got to Mr. Jelly's house, he knocked on the door. Spookily, the door swung open by itself. "Hello," called Mr. Noisy as softly as he could, which for you and me would have been a shout. Then he heard a chattering noise coming from the bedroom. Mr. Noisy found Mr. Jelly hiding under his bed, and his teeth chattering in fear. "Whatever's that?" began Mr. Noisy, and remembered himself. "Whatever's the matter, Mr. Jelly?" It's Little Miss Scary," chattered Mr. Jelly. She keeps jumping out and shouting, "Boo at me." Mr. Noisy made Mr. Jelly a cup of tea, and he called it that and told him what it could. Okay. Those crummy egads, they all think crazy. They don't know what they think about egads. Oh man, moving on. Just as it was getting dark, they hid behind a bush beside a lane. They crept into Mr. Jelly's house. They waited until they saw Little Miss Scary's shadowy figure creeping behind them. Then Mr. Noisy and Mr. Jelly crept out from hiding place, tiptoed up behind Little Miss Scary, and at the tops of their voices shouted, "Creeper, creeper, 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 bleh." Oh, Great McGillicuddy. Do not talk about. Oh man. About a week ago, Mr. Noisy went to see his friend Mr. Jelly. I mean, the top of Mr. Noisy's house is a very loud place indeed. So loud that Little Miss Scary left 5 feet in the air, and when she came down, she ran for her life. She didn't stop running until she was in her bed, in her bedroom, in Spooky Cottage, at the top of the mountain. "I don't think you'll be seeing so much for her a long while, Mr. Jelly," chuckled Mr. Noisy. Mr. Jelly? Mr. Jelly? But there was no sign of Mr. Jelly either. Mr. Noisy chuckled again and walked back to Mr. Jelly's house to have a look under Mr. Jelly's bed. He's supposed to be reaching to say, McGillicuddy. "I also promised Miss Scary might be going to Bombay." "You should positively go visit Snoopy at Woodstock on my channel and think about it." And Mr. Noisy and Rolf the Dog's World 1976 and the fan is something good. And if you get the feet, Halloween is next month. And you should technically would talk about Abby and her last name, Kadabi. And you should technically say that if you think you've been talking about Toto, You would be talking about Buffett. You should be talking about Pat Benatar. And technically, Halloween. And Bon Jovi. And Tech Guys. And fucking... both are never too bad. Do not talk about Greg McGillicuddy. Are you back?